Your 20s and 30s are not just the years when you start earning money, they are the years when your money habits quietly become your default. And that is exactly what makes this stage so dangerous. Most people do not ruin their finances with one dramatic mistake. They do it through normal looking decisions that seem manageable at the time. A car payment that is a little too high, credit card debt that keeps rolling forward, a lifestyle upgrade after a raise, or waiting to invest until life feels more settled. None of those decisions look catastrophic by themselves. That is the trap. Stacked together, they can steal the decade when your money had the most time to grow. So in this video, we are going through the biggest wealth killers in your 20s and 30s. These are the habits and decisions that make it harder to build net worth, harder to feel secure, and harder to reach financial freedom later. This is not about judging anyone. A lot of these traps are easy to fall into because they are normal. The goal is to spot them early enough that you can change direction before they become expensive. The first wealth killer is high-interest credit card debt. Credit cards are not automatically bad. Used carefully, they can be convenient, provide protection, and even earn rewards. The problem starts when the balance does not get paid off and the interest begins compounding against you. That is the part people underestimate. A $2,000 balance can feel manageable because the minimum payment looks small. But the minimum payment is designed to keep the account alive, not to get you out quickly. If the interest rate is high, a large part of the payment may be going toward interest instead of reducing the balance. This is why credit card debt can feel like running on a treadmill. You are making payments every month, but the balance barely moves. The real damage is not just the interest, it is the loss of flexibility. If $200, $300, or $500 a month is already committed to old purchases, that money cannot build an emergency fund, pay down other debt, or go into investments. Credit card debt also changes how future decisions feel. A normal expense becomes stressful because your next paycheck is already crowded. You may use the card again, which makes the next month harder, and the cycle keeps going. The fix is simple in theory, even if it is hard emotionally. Stop the balance from growing, pay more than the minimum, and make high-interest debt the top priority before chasing complicated investing strategies. The mindset shift is to stop treating the minimum payment like the plan. The plan is to make the balance disappear. If your credit card is charging 20% or more, paying it down is like giving yourself a guaranteed return by removing that interest from your life. It is not flashy, but it is powerful. A simple way to avoid this trap is to make one rule. If you cannot pay the card off in full this month, pause new charges until the balance is under control. That one rule keeps the card from becoming a second rent payment. The second wealth killer is the car payment that looks normal. This one is sneaky because car payments have become so common that people stop questioning them. If everyone around you has a payment, a $500, $600, or $700 monthly car payment can start to feel like just another adult bill. But a car payment is not just a car payment. It is a claim on your future paycheck. If you commit $650 a month to a car, that is $7,800 a year before insurance, maintenance, gas, registration, parking, and repairs. Over 5 years, the payment alone is $39,000, and that money is going into an asset that usually loses value. The issue is not that no one should ever buy a nice car. The issue is buying a car that forces the rest of your financial life to shrink. A high car payment can delay your emergency fund. It can crowd out investing. It can make rent or a mortgage feel tighter. It can make every other goal move slower. And because the payment is fixed, you cannot easily cut it when life changes. If your income drops, your rent goes up, or you have a medical bill, the car payment still shows up. The safer way to think about cars is to ask one question before signing. What does this payment prevent me from doing? If the car is the reason you cannot save, cannot invest, or cannot breathe, it is not just transportation anymore. It is a wealth killer with wheels. A simple way to avoid this is to shop by total monthly impact, not just the sticker price. Before buying, add the payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, and repairs. Then ask if your savings rate still survives. The third wealth killer is lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep is what happens when your spending rises every time your income rises. You get a raise, but instead of feeling more secure, the money disappears into nicer apartments, better restaurants, more subscriptions, upgraded travel, newer cars, and more convenience. Some lifestyle upgrades are fine. The whole point of money is not to suffer forever. If your income goes up, it is reasonable to enjoy some of it. The problem is when every raise gets absorbed before it can improve your financial life. This is how someone can make $60,000 and feel broke, then make $90,000 and still feel broke, then make $120,000 and wonder why nothing changed. The income changed, but the gap between income and spending did not. The easiest way to fight lifestyle creep is to make the decision before the raise hits your checking account. If your take-home pay, goes up by $500 a month, decide that $250 goes toward investing, debt payoff, or savings automatically. The other $250 can improve your life now. That way, the raise does two jobs. It gives you some enjoyment today, and it gives your future self more options. If you wait until the end of the month to save whatever is left, there usually is not much left. A simple way to avoid lifestyle creep is to split every raise before you touch it. Send part of it automatically to savings, investing, or debt payoff, and let the rest improve your life without guilt. The fourth wealth killer is waiting too long to invest. This does not mean everyone should invest before they have an emergency fund or while carrying expensive credit card debt. There is an order that matters, but a lot of people wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. They say they will invest when they make more money, when the market feels safer, when they understand everything, when life settles down, or when they finally have a large amount to start with. The problem is that time is one of the biggest advantages you have in your 20s and 30s. If you invest early, even small amounts have more years to grow. If you wait, you can still build wealth, but you usually need to contribute much more later to catch up. The biggest misunderstanding is thinking investing only matters when the amount is impressive. If you can only invest $50 or $100 a month at first, that may not feel meaningful, but the habit is meaningful. You are learning to pay your future self before every dollar gets absorbed by the present. You also learn how markets feel. You learn that investments go up and down. You learn not to panic every time your account moves. You build experience when the stakes are smaller. The goal is not to become an expert overnight. The goal is to start building the muscle while the stakes are still small. Waiting until you feel completely ready can cost you years. A simple way to avoid this is to start with an amount so small it feels almost too easy, like $25, $50, or $100 a month. The first win is not the amount. The first win is becoming the kind of person who invests consistently. The fifth wealth killer is housing that eats the whole paycheck. Housing is usually the biggest expense in the budget, so getting this one wrong can make everything else harder. This applies whether you rent or buy. A rent payment that is too high can keep you from saving. A mortgage that is too high can make you house poor. And a home that looks affordable on paper can become stressful once you add maintenance, property taxes, insurance, furniture, repairs, utilities, and everything else that comes with it. The dangerous part is that housing decisions often get made emotionally. You imagine the better neighborhood, the extra bedroom, the nicer kitchen, the shorter commute, or the feeling of finally owning something. Those things can be valuable, but if the payment leaves no breathing room, the house or apartment can become a trap. The question is not just, can I make the payment? The better question is, can I make the payment and still build the rest of my life? Can you still save? Can you still invest? Can you handle repairs? Can you lose a little income without everything falling apart? A home should support your life. It should not consume every dollar of flexibility. A simple way to avoid this is to decide your comfort number before touring homes or apartments. If the payment only works in the best case version of your life, it is probably too tight. The sixth wealth killer is small recurring expenses that never get questioned. One subscription usually does not matter. 10 subscriptions can start to matter. A few apps, streaming services, delivery memberships, cloud storage, fitness apps, news apps, and forgotten free trials can quietly turn into a real monthly bill. The reason recurring expenses are dangerous is that they become invisible. You make the decision once, but you pay for it every month. After a while, it stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like part of life. This does not mean you need to cancel everything and live miserably. The point is to make your recurring bills earn their place. A simple subscription audit can be surprisingly powerful. Look at every recurring charge and ask whether you would sign up for it again today at the same price. If the answer is no, cancel it. The money you free up may not make you rich by itself, but it gives you more breathing room. And breathing room is what allows the bigger money decisions to work. A simple way to avoid this is to do a 10-minute subscription audit once every few months. If you would not sign up again today, cancel it and move that money somewhere useful before it disappears into another bill. The seventh wealth killer is trying to look successful too early. This last one hits home for a lot of people because it is emotional. In your 20s and 30s, it is easy to feel pressure to prove that you are doing well. People around you start upgrading cars, apartments, vacations, clothes, weddings, restaurants, and social lives. Social media makes it worse because you see the purchase, not the payment plan. The problem is that looking successful and becoming financially secure are often different paths. Looking successful usually costs money right now. Building wealth often requires keeping money when you could have spent it. That does not mean you should never enjoy anything. It means you should be careful about buying a lifestyle before the foundation exists. A lot of rich-looking purchases are really just future obligations in disguise. The car looks good, but the payment follows you. The apartment looks good, but the rent squeezes you. The vacation looks good, but the credit card balance comes home with you. The better flex is not needing every paycheck to arrive perfectly on time. It is having an emergency fund. It is having investments. It is having options. It is being able to say no to a bad job, a bad deal, or a bad financial decision because you are not desperate. That kind of success is quieter, but it is much more useful. A simple way to avoid this trap is to separate purchases that improve your life from purchases that only prove something to other people. If nobody saw it, would you still want it? That question can save a lot of money. If you are in your 20s or 30s, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to avoid stacking too many wealth killers at once. A reasonable car can work. A reasonable apartment can work. A few subscriptions can work. Enjoying a raise can work. The danger is when all of them happen together and leave no room for savings, investing, or mistakes. The simple framework is this: protect your floor so emergencies do not automatically become debt. Avoid high-interest balances that roll forward every month. Keep your fixed costs low enough that you have breathing room. Invest something consistently once the basics are stable. And do not let looking successful become more important than becoming secure. Your 20s and 30s do not need to be perfect for you to build wealth, but they do need direction. If you can avoid the biggest traps, keep part of every raise, and let time work for you instead of against you, you give your future self a much easier life. That is the real point. Wealth is not just about making more money. It is about not letting normal-looking decisions quietly steal the money before it has a chance to build anything.